Good morning guys and welcome back to Barham Engines. Right guys, here we got a little 16 valve Fiesta head. The guy said it's suspected head gasket, but as you can see by the face around here, it's probably one of the worst blown head gaskets I've seen for a while. So what I'm going to do, I said I'll vacuum the valves, which I have, and you've got, weirdly, there's only a couple of them that don't seem to vacuum too well. I was expecting this thing to be bent like a banana, but I said what I'll do is I'll take all the valves out, shot blast them all, we'll wire brush the seats, and then put them back in and see what they vacuum like. But as you can see, I've blasted the exhaust and they sort of come up all right, but the inlets, you can see there where water's been sitting in the cylinder from the head gasket being blown so much, it's just literally been pouring in there. So I'm just going to blast those. He's on a bit of a budget, I don't think he's got much money, and the trouble is with these, they're a solid lifter, they're not hydraulic, so if we have to start cutting the valves in the seats, he's going to have to bring the cams in, we've got to go through clearances, and it's a whole different price. So providing that they vacuum okay once I've cleaned them up, they'll be absolutely perfect, and then we're just going to face the head and he should be good to go there. So there we go guys, as you can see I've cleaned all those valves up now in the shot blaster. I've put them in the cylinder head and they all vacuum fine. So what I've done is I've took the stem seals off. I'm just going to pop down the road now and get the gaskets and bolts, and then I'm going to fit the new stem seals because they've gone a bit hard obviously because it's overheated. So pop those on, get all the valves and springs back in, and we'll give it a reface and see how far out it is. I've got the two boys over there, as you can see, taking the engine stands off the two blocks. You've got the pre-crossflow and the MGB. Board them this morning, get them faced, and then they can, I think they've got them mostly cleaned up, so then we can get them primed and painted up, and that's the blocks done then. Right, so there's the MGB down on the floor, that's to be done next. At the moment I've got the pre-crossflow, I've just put it on the boring bar. And a few of you guys I noticed beforehand have asked in the comments how we just set a block up on this, so I'll just quickly show you. I'm not sure whether I've showed you before. So basically what we do is these bars here can be moved by undoing these two lock nuts, and then you can slide these bars over. Now these are the parallels, so obviously the boring bar sits on top of the parallel, and on the bottom of the parallel is what sits on the block face, and that ensures that it's all the boring bar is parallel to the block face. So we move these in and out, then just nip them up where we want them. You see there, we just want to go on the edge of the block really, and out the way of the bore. So we've got that set up. Then what we do, we've got a winder there and a winder there, and that brings the base up. So what you see here is I always sit the block on the parallels, just makes it easier to sort of move in and out, and if there's any sort of bolts underneath, nuts and bolts underneath that are proud to the surface, you can position these parallels wherever you want. So what we do, when we've got it sort of in line that way where we want it on the parallels, see under there there's a gap. What we do is we wind these up evenly until the gap has gone, and then you just nip them up either side nice and evenly. You can normally tell if the block's sort of a bit like this, because say if it was up on the left hand end, you'll find that that one there won't tighten up, so then you have to sort of slacken that one and do that one until they're both a positive nip down either side. So that's how we set it up. And then what we do, as I showed you before, you've got the cat's paws here, and you've got a series of cat's paws over there which do like these are number 3s, so these will do between, if I have a look there, it's not very easy to read anymore, that does between 2.95 and 3.34, and the bore at the moment that we've got is 3.218. So these are the cat's paws we want. So what we do is we put these in the holes down here, one there. We do them all at about, so you've got one over there, you're missing a hole every time because obviously there's 6 holes but there's 3 of these. So, and what we do is we tap them in until you get a nice positive metallic sound, and then you know that there's no swarf or anything behind there, and it's sitting right back to where it should. Then what you do is roughly push the boring bar over the center of the bore, and then you wind it down. So I've wound the block up, and you see there's no gap now underneath between the block face and the parallels. Both sides have evenly nipped up nicely, so I'm confident that that block is parallel. So what I've done now is I've put the cat's paws in, I've wound the cat's paws down to about halfway up the bore, and that just ensures that if there is any inconsistency in sort of the parallel of the bore, then it's just going to center it up. So put that down there. You've got the back here, you've got a stop. What this stop does is when you do your first cut and it goes through the bottom of the bore and you can hear it stop cutting, what we do is we push this one up, nip the butterfly, and then you know every time that you do a cut, when it gets to the bottom of the bore, it's just going to stop the machine. So first of all, we just slacken that one off. We want to wind the cat's paws out now and center the bore. So what we do is we put an Allen key in this. If you wind it backwards, what that's doing is that's pushing a cone in effect down through the cat's paws and opening them out evenly. So if we wind that back just until it's sort of, so you get a nice positive stop. Now you know those cat's paws are tight against the bore. Then what we do is we nip these two nuts here evenly, and what that's done is that has tightened the boring head to the parallels. Then what we do is we slacken off a couple of turns on the cat's paws and we wind it back up automatically. So there we go, guys. All we do then is we rise the cat's paws out of the bore, take the cat's paws out, we set the tool, put the tool in and start the cut. You've just got to remember on your first cut to set the stop when it's gone through the bore, because if you don't, it'll plough on straight through into the main housings. Hope that makes sense, guys. Just a quick explanation on how we set up the blocks on our boring bar. Right then, guys, you'd be thrilled to know, first of all, thank you ever so much for all your comments and recommendations and advice and that on the last video with regards to our issue that we had with a customer that took the vehicle. You'll be glad to know, whether it was something to do with the video, but 4 hours later we had an email from the customer and they paid the bill. So over the moon with that. Can't thank you enough if it's to do with you. But anyway, but yeah, having a bit of a week of it, but we've got another little issue with the customer. This engine down here, so that's the VXR Vauxhall engine, the one that's all palleted up, ready to go back. So we supplied all the bits, done the machining on reboring and refacing the block, done the head, polished the crank, etc. So the reason that is still here and not gone back yet is because we're having a little bit of an issue. So I'll just go in the office and I'll tell you about that. Right, I'm going to start from the beginning and try and cut a long story short here. So I don't know why I'm laughing really, but this guy rings me up 18 months ago and said, look, got this VXR Vauxhall, it's got scores down the bores. If I send it down to you, he's from up country, can you rebore it and supply a set of pistons? I said, yeah, I'll just go away and have a look for a set of pistons and see what they are. Anyway, the only ones I could get that we supply are a forged item, and they normally come out, I said that I can do a set for £450 plus the VAT, because at the time I could get Wasners at that price. So I priced him £120 to bore the block. He wanted the head pressure tested if he sent that down, just to make sure, and I supplied, and obviously for the piston. So sent him the estimate. It was about just over £1,000, something like that, with a VAT. So didn't hear anything more of it. He then rang back about a couple of months later saying that there was, regarding this engine. He then went on to say that he's getting his guy to do it, an engine builder. And can we sort of have a conference between myself, him and the engine builder, which I did. The engine builder said sort of confirmed everything he said and said that he was going to send down the block, what have you. Anyway, didn't hear any more about it. About 6 weeks ago, I suppose it was, he said, he got back in touch and said, oh, regarding the VXR, I said, blimey, I thought you'd gone. No, we're going to be sending it down. He said, my builder's back on the case. He's going to pallet it up, send it down. So he did. And when I put it in a video, actually, 2 or 3 videos back. When it turned up, it was a tall engine. I thought, what's this? I wasn't expecting anything like this. Anyway, it turns out that it was his engine. So I've rang him up and I said, I've just had this block turn. I said, but it's not just the block. I said, it's a complete short engine with the head on top of it loosely. So obviously someone's had the head off. He said, oh, right, yeah. He said, best thing to do is, I said, well, obviously there's more work here. This is, a different kettle of fish if you want it bored. I've got to strip it and what have you. He said, all right, okay. He said, best thing to do. He said, technically I don't really know a lot. He said, have a chat with my builder. So I've gone away and I've liaised with his builder. Turns out the guy that's car it is a dealer or a trader. So I said to him, I said, well, obviously what you've sent down is what you can't be bothered to do. So I'm going to have to strip it and what have you. So I said, it's going to be a few hours stripping it and cleaning it just to get to the point where I get a bare block to bore it. So that's, yeah, everything's fine. And I said, well, what about the other bits? Yeah, go ahead with the other bits. Anyway, we've stripped it, cleaned it, all the rest of it, put on a job card, about 4 hours to strip, check and clean and all the rest of it. So I've rang the owner and I've said, listen, I've been away and tried to get those pistons that I could get 18 months ago, but I can't get them at the minute. They're on back order. They're going to be about 3 months. I said, but not only that, they're about 650 quid a set for that particular type now. He said, oh, right, yeah. So I went away, I spoke to another supplier. I said, and he could do me a set of Wiseco pistons for £600 plus the VAT. Not only that, they had all the rest of the bits there. They've got competition bearings and all that because this car's a bit tuned. So I got back in touch with the customer, not the builder. I said, look, I can get these pistons. He said they're around 600 quid, but not 100% sure, but they ain't going to be any more than that. Do you want me to get all the gaskets and all the rest? Yeah. It was always yeah, and I said obviously about the extra work and yeah, that's fine. Anyway, done it all, done the whole job. So we ended up facing the block, boring the block, stripping it, cleaning it, polished the crank and checked it, went through the cylinder head because the valves weren't very good and it needed a reface and that, pressure tested the head, and all the rest of the bits. So I've sent him the bill. He's rang me up. He said, oh my God, I thought it was going to be about £1,000. He said, that's what I was estimated. I said, well, it was initially. That was the estimate. But I said, he said, the estimates are relevant now. I said, you've sent, oh, blimey, yeah, if I'd have thought it was going to be that much, no, it's not more than twice as much. He weren't getting it. I said, no, what I estimated you for was boring the block and a set of pistons and pressure testing the head. I said, I've been liaising with you and, oh no, I think there's been a bit of a communication issue. I said, listen, there's not been any communication issue from my behalf. I said, I've been ringing yourself and your engine builder and I've made you quite aware. Yeah, but you never mentioned any prices. I said, you never asked any prices. It was always yeah, crack on, or speak to my builder who give me the yeah, go ahead. I said, so basically that's what it is now. And I said, it ain't all bad because whatever I've done and whatever I supplied, your builder's not going to have to get or do. So it swings and roundabouts. If I didn't do something or didn't supply something, he's going to have to do it and supply it to do the build. So it does, you know what I mean? He wasn't getting it. He says, it's a little bit like if you got a quote from a gardener and then when he's done the job, he's charged you twice as much. I said, no, what it's like is a gardener giving you an estimate for doing your front garden. When he's turned up, you've got him to do all your back garden, which is twice as big, and then moaned why the price weren't as the same as what the front got. I said, it's a totally different bloody thing. And I said, not only that, it's a little bit like, going into Tesco and saying, how much is a loaf of bread, mate? And them saying, oh, it's £1. Right, ideal. Then going around the supermarket, filling up your trolley, and when you get to the till, having a go at the woman because she's charged you 100 quid for what matey quoted you £1 for. I said, you got a quote for a loaf of bread. You've now done a full shop.
unbelievable, to be honest. So I've now spent probably, he said, I've probably spent over an hour now on the phone with him. Then he's got his business partner to ring me, so they're obviously in it together. They're a pair of traders, and I've just found it very difficult to try and keep me cool. I'm like, no one seems to be. I said, the problem is, your guy there, your partner, has got it in his head that this initial estimate is how much the bill's going to be from me, regardless of what I'm doing in supplying. I've kept everyone in the loop the whole way. The fact that no one's asked me for any prices along the way is beside the point. I said, in the end, I just said, look, someone's going to have to pay this bill. I said, it seems to me like you need to be having a chat with your engine builder. I'm just the machinist, and I'm just doing and supplying what I've been told to supply by your builder. There seems to be a little bit of a liaison issue between you and your builder. You need to go and sort it out because someone's got to pay the bill. So yeah, just what you need on a Friday. So I don't know, guys. Crack on and comment down below on what you reckon to that little scenario. I said to him, at the end of the day, if you're not going to pay for it, I'll send all the bits back. I'll stick the pallet full of engine in the shed, and we'll forget about it. But someone's got to pay. I could understand if I hadn't kept anyone in the loop the old way, but some people are impossible.
Right, so sorry about all the noise today, guys. We've got a few machines going, so there's no quiet recording, I'm afraid. So here on the home, this Studebaker is the one we put the liners in. So I've got the liners in, I've faced the block, I've finished honed it. Yesterday, I was just letting it cool. I'm just going to check it now, and then this block is pretty much done. The only thing we've got to do on this then is John has got to fit the cam bearings, which he absolutely hates doing because it's a bit of a nightmare job, really. So you've got a series of bearings. I think there's 3 on this down here, and they're just like a round shell bearing, usually different sizes, and you've got to send a series of dollies down there to push the old ones out and the new ones in, and then hone them to size. So yeah, as soon as he starts doing that, I'll show you how it's done. So we've got the Fiesta head here on the milling machine. I've just put a 5 thou cut. We're going to see how bad it is. So we've got 5 thou on one end there, but as you can see in the middle already, it's only touching on the outer edge. It's not touching here. So I'm suspecting I'm going to have to take about 15 thou off this head. So yeah, quite overheated, this one. So that's what it looks like after a 5 thou cut. You can see how bent that's gone. It's not only sort of bent that way, but it bends this way as well. It causes like a dip. It's almost like the gasket sinks into the head when it gets soft. So put another 5 on that, see what it looks like. Well, thanks ever so much for watching, guys. Remember, subscribe, like, comment down below, and have a lovely weekend, and we'll see you next week. Cheers, guys.